Hello YouTube, it's Opposite Irony, and I'm here to show you my Beetrooper deck profile post Burst of Destiny. Sorry I haven't posted a video in the past few months. These few months have been kind of crazy, kind of hectic, but things started to slow down a bit more, so I have a bit more free time than before, so I'm going to be doing more. I should also be doing another deck profile sometime later this week. I'm going to do my best to make that happen. But for today, I got a Beetrooper deck profile I want to show you guys. I know there's like a few different builds with Beetroopers. Like I know there's like a Link Spam Turbo, like with like the Battle Wasp engine and other things. And I think there's also like a control variant I've seen online somewhere. But this one is mainly going second, I'm gonna break your board and OTK you that same turn build. And as I go through the deck profile, you're gonna see some of the cards that help me facilitate that. Without further ado, I'll just get right into it. So for starters, I got triple Beetrooper Scout Buggy. Really good card. On summon, basically specials another Scout Buggy from the hand deck or grave, so it's really good. I've seen people play 2, and at one point I used to play 2, but honestly, seeing this card is so good because just whenever you summon it, you just summon another one, so it's an instant link 2, or you could even make a rank 3, the Cicada King. Really good. I think it's a definite 3 of in my opinion. Then I also play triple Beetrooper Scale Bomber. It's basically like a Kakito Kage for the deck, but better. Just whenever an insect is normal or special, you just special it from the hand, and then quick effect: whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, you contribute an insect, including itself, and blow up that monster. It doesn't negate it, but it's still an interruption your opponent has to go through if you do want to leave it on the board. But it's really good just to make a link 2 because you go normal, effect of this, special, and then you just kind of pop off from there. So it's really good. Next I play 1 Beetrooper Assault Roller. I like this card a lot. I used to play 2 Estecapede. I took one out for this because this is technically better in some ways because it can be normal summon or special summon by other ways. And it still has that same effect as Estecapede to like banish the insect from grave to special it, so it still kind of fulfills that same role as just being an extender. So I just replaced one for this, and I like it a lot because there's times where this comes up, and I'm glad I had this as opposed to Estecapede. But there's other moments where I prefer Estecapede over this, so that's why I play the 1-on-1. But they're both really good, and this can actually get really big against 200 attack for every other insect monster in the field. So there's times where I've helped. This has helped me OTK because this became like 2400 attack, which just helped push for game. So it's a really good card. Then for the last Beetrooper I play in the main deck, I play 2 Beetrooper Sting Lancer. This is a really cool card. During the main phase quick effect, you target an insect monster in your graveyard and any monster in your opponent's graveyard. Put both on the bottom of the deck and then special summon this. So that's really good because it's a quick effect, because not only does it let you special it from the hand without having to tribute summon it, which would have sucked if that was the case. But if your opponent is like trying to activate a card that revives something from the graveyard, you could also just chain this to it, target that same monster they're trying to revive, and then just put it on the bottom of the deck, so their effect just fizzles out, while also getting a free body on your field. And then what this does on summon is that when this card is just normal or special, you get any Beetrooper spell and trap from your deck to your hand, which is usually the counter trap, but you could also get the new card Beetrooper Descent, which helps you extend. So it's just, you gain so much advantage off this card. Like, you can disrupt your opponent, you also get a card that can use next turn, you could summon it on your turn and get a card that can help you extend that same exact turn, or you can get a counter trap that helps you just prevent your opponent from activating a monster effect on their turn. There's a lot that you can do with it. I like it a lot. But that's all the Beetroopers that I play in the main deck. The next cards are just basically like insect support. I play triple Shiny Black Sea Squatter. The reason why I play 3, because I know some people only play 1 or 2 at max. I play 3 because I play Giant Ballpark. A lot of people, I've seen a few builds online, and a lot of them don't even play Giant Ballpark. That card is insane. That card is so good. That helps you just win games like it's nothing. It just gives you so much advantage. And basically what it does is that if it's sent, whenever any player takes any form of battle damage, you can send an insect monster from deck to grave instead of taking that damage from either player. And if you send a vanilla, you can summon as many vanillas of that name from hand, deck, or grave. So you can just get like 3 of these on field and just like push for game, or you can main phase 2 just make a bunch of link monsters or XYZs, or you can also just defend yourself from getting OTK'd by sending this and summoning 3 of them in defense. Like there's so much utility you can do with them, and also just worked with Goalkeeper too. Like it's just an all in all really good card. So that's why I play 3. And then I never brick with them or anything. They're always good. Next I play Triple Resonance Insect. This card is so good. Oh my gosh. If it's sent from field to grave, by any means, even if it's in the spawn trap zone by Piccolo Fenda's effect, you just add any level 5 or higher insect type monster from deck to hand. And if this card is banished from the graveyard, you foolish burial any insect monster from deck to grave. None of those effects are once per turn at all. So you can actually resolve this effect 3 times in a turn. And I have done that before. So basically the target you're usually going to search for with this effect is Doom Dozer. And then you're going to go ahead and summon Doom Dozer by banishing it again. And then, you know, you're going to make plays there. It's really good. It could also get you Sting Lancer too. So you can even search for that like at the end of your combo. So you can have the Sting Lancer in hand for your opponent's turn. So that if you just want to disrupt their graveyard, you could do that as well. Next I play Triple Goalkeeper, another really good card as well. I know some people play 2. I like to play 3. But honestly, I could see why people play that 2. It could be kind of bricky. But I like 3 because, I don't know. I just like it. Even if I draw into it, sometimes I discard it for Piccolo Fenda's effect. Sometimes I just normal it, special summon Scale Bomber, link both off, affected this, and whatever. But it's really good. Basically what it does is that if it's sent to the graveyard, doesn't matter how, whether it's from hand or field or from deck, if it's just sent to the graveyard, you add any level 4 insect from deck to hand, and if you added specifically vanilla, you can then special that vanilla, and then you have the option to destroy 1 monster on the field with attack equal to or higher than that vanilla you specialed. And that doesn't target, which is really, really good against specific boss monsters. Not only that, but that's also just one giant effect. So if your opponent wants to respond to it, they have to respond to it the moment it touches grave. They don't even know if you're going to add a vanilla. You could add Resonance Insect or Assault Roller. But if they negate it, cool. But if they don't, let's say they have an Appaloosa on field and they decide not to negate it, so you just add the vanilla, special vanilla, pop the Appaloosa. Like, and they can't respond to that because they had to respond to the activation the moment it touched grave, which is really, really good. And with Giant Ballpark, it's also really good because you can send this on your opponent's battle phase if they try to kill you, to summon a vanilla, and also just pop a monster they control. There's just a lot of synergy with this. And this is usually the card you're going to send off of Resonance Insect as well. Next, I play 1 Estecapede. Just like Assault Roller, it's just an extender. You banish an insect from grave, summon it. And it has good stats too. So, they're both good. I just opted for 1-on-1. Just to try it out, and I like it. Sometimes playing 2 Estecapede kind of sucked because if you draw into multiple, you can't really summon all of them because unless you have like a loaded up graveyard, or if like this was the only card you had in your hand and nothing in grave, you just can't summon anything. At least Assault Roller you can special it, but this is bigger, and this can help push for game more. So they both have their uses. That's why I play 1-on-1. The next one I play is Doom Dozer. This card is basically going to help you push for game. It's your main target you're going to search for off of Resonance Insect. And when you summon it, you banish the Resonance Insect. You send Goalkeeper with its effect. Affect the Goalkeeper. You get a vanilla, special vanilla, pop a card. You got 2 free monsters. Like, it's so good what this helps you do with Resonance Insect. So, the only thing about it that kind of sucks, and Estecapede shares that same effect, is that whenever it inflicts battle damage, your opponent has to mill a card. And sometimes that has actually lost me a few games because they mill like a really good card that they just pop off with. So you just have to be careful with that. But usually I attack with this last, just so that doesn't really come up as much. And then for the last insects I play that help me just OTK and just break boards, I play 2 Kumungus, 2 Godarla, and then just the 1 Gameciel. Just some kaijus. I used to play 3 of each of these ones, but I noticed it got a little too cloggy. So I think 2 and 2, and then the 1 Gameciel is really good. I mainly just play the Gameciel because I do play triple interrupted kaiju slumber, and usually what I summon to my opponent's field the first time with it is gonna be the Gameciel. But having the Kamungus and Godarlos are really good because not only does it like out really good monsters, but it could be an extender for you as well if you have one as well. So you can give them a kaiju, then you can summon a kaiju. Then you could just go normal, link both of them off, go into like Armor Horn, I like the Armor Horn normal summon, and then you just snowball from there. And just being able to out a very problematic card like Destiny, what's his name? The new card, the Destiny Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, whatever his name is. This outs it really good. I don't think people are playing Dragoon, but this outed Dragoon really good. Or if they have Herald of Ultimateness, if you're playing against someone like that's playing Drytron, or if you're playing against like if your opponent has a Baron Deflora on the field, you can just kaiju it. Like this just helps break so many problematic cards. So I think playing the kaijus are really good, and they're insects, so they help you on field to link, as well as ammunition and graveyard for specific cards as well. Next, I just play some hand traps. I just play Triple Ash because it's a really good card. It hits almost anything. Every deck is susceptible to Ash, basically, as well as Effect Veiler. Every deck is basically susceptible to Veiler. They're both just really good generic hand traps. Yeah, I just play this because again, I'm trying to like OTK my opponent turn, like on my first turn, which is going second. So this can help you just like kind of neuter their boards a bit, not by crazy, but if you like one well-timed Veiler can stop an entire board, as well as an Ash. So sometimes these cards just help you win by themselves. But that's it for the monsters. It's a very big monster count. The rest isn't as big as the monsters, but for starters, I play Triple Giant Ballpark. Like I said earlier, this card is insane. Just being able to that whenever anyone would take battle damage, you just send any insect from deck to grave, which could be Goki Pole, which can then summon a vanilla and pop it, or you can send a vanilla, which in this case Shiny Black Sea Squatter, and then summon as many copies of it from hand, deck, or graveyard, and then just proceed to deal like 6,000 damage to your opponent. And then main phase 2, you have 3 vanillas you can use for material for XYZ summoning or link summoning. Like that's just so good. And the fact that because it's a field spell, your opponent has to constantly respect it. Like it's going to be a lot harder for them to kill you because you have this on field. Because you can basically just stop one attack for free, while also giving yourself resources like Goki Pole, which can then add an insect, or give you a vanilla, then pop a card, or just getting you free bodies on the field. And the fact that you can do this on your turn or your opponent's turn, like there's just so much you could do with this card. There's so much potential, and it's weird that many people don't play it. Like it's an insane card. Whenever I see this, I usually go for game because it just gives you so much resources for free. But yeah, this is just a really good card. And then the one terraforming basically to search it because you want to see it as much as possible. Then I play 2 Beetrooper Descent. A really good card. Really good card. It's just a spell. You just activate it. You give yourself a token that you can do whatever you want with. I think it just can't be attributed. No, actually, yeah, it can be attributed. That's crazy. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with that token. Just activate it, summon token, and then if you control a monster, an insect monster with 3,000 more attack, which is usually your link 3, or your link 4, my bad. You just non-targeting destroy a spell or trap on the field. So it's also an MST that can help up, or that could help you a lot. I've actually won a game because of this, because he activated Mystic Mine. I have no other spell and trap removal. I couldn't do anything, but I already had Invincible Atlas on the field. And once I drew this, I activated, give myself a token, pop the Mystic Mine, I just killed him that same turn. So it comes up. It's actually really good. And the fact that it's searchable with Sting Lancer to help you just progress your plays more, it's really good. Next I play Triple Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This also just helps you break boards and OTK, basically by just being a dark hole that gives not only your opponent a monster that you can pop later, but it gives you a monster that you can link off or whatever you want with, and then being able to banish it next turn to give yourself a free kaiju is also really good. So yeah, Kaiju Slumber helps a lot. Honestly, I think I like the fact that it gives you a free monster more that you can use whatever you want with, like for link summoning, than the fact that it just blows up the board. It's a really solid card. They have just some staples: 1 Called By, 1 Raigeki, and then 1 Monster Reborn. The Extender, blows up boards, and then one well-timed Ash can just end your turn. So this can help you just stay in the game a bit more. And then for the one trap that I play one Beetrooper Flying Sting. Basically, to counter trap that as long as you control a Beetrooper monster, any Beetrooper monster, you just negate the activation of a monster effect and you destroy it. And the fact that it's a counter trap is really, really good. So your opponent can't really chain to it unless they have like a red reboot or like a judgment or something. And then also during the end phase, if this card's in the graveyard while I control an insect monster at 3,000 or more attack, you can banish an insect from grave and then reset this card. But you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, or only once that turn. But it doesn't really matter because you're going to basically activate this on your opponent's turn, and then on your turn you're going to reset it, and then your opponent's turn you're going to activate it again, and it's just like you have basically free negate on your opponent's turn all the time. It's really good. It helps you disrupt them, and like you can easily get it on your board just to like help provide some form of interruption on your opponent's turn. For the extra deck, I play 2 Beetrooper Armor Horn. I love this card so much. It's so good. It just, during the main phase, lets you normal summon again. That's honestly all it needed to do. That's such a good effect. But what it also does is that if it's in the graveyard, you can also banish 3 insects to summon it back, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. But that helps you make Invincible Atlas so much, as well as give you extra ammunition for whatever you need. Like if you want to use Invincible Atlas's on-field effect, this could be tribute fodder for it by reviving it back. Or if you wanted to have it just to help push for game, or if you really needed to banish Resonance Insect from the graveyard, but you don't have a card that could do that from hand, well, this can do it from the graveyard. So there's a lot you could do with it from there. I think it's a really, really solid card. Then I play 2 Picofalena. Actually helps a lot. Basically, on Link Summon, you discard a card, target another insect monster you control, equip anything to it from deck, any insect monster, which is usually going to be Resonance Insect. And then also you could target 3 insect monsters in the graveyard, put them back in the deck, and draw one, which is really good, so recycles. And what's really cool is that if you make Armor Horn first, and then like you summon a Picofalena later, and you just discard, target Armor Horn, equip Resonance Insect, link both for Invincible Atlas, effective Resonance Insect, get Doomdozer, banish Resonance Insect, and like Picofalena for Doomdozer, effective Resonance Insect, get like Chain of Black Sea Squatter, special, like there's so like that, it's so good. Like the combos that you could do is really, really good. So there's a lot of synergy with the deck, like just with that as well, because it gets you access to Resonance Insect straight from the deck as opposed to have to draw it or search for it. Then I play 1 Shinobi Insect, Hagekaramino. How do you pronounce that? Hagekaramino? I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's just a generic Link 2 insect. That's basically it. There's some times where I make this, not for the effect, but just to link climb. I don't even know what it really does. I think it just protects something that it points to. I'm not sure, but I mainly just play it because it's a generic Link 2. And I play 1 Seraphim Papillon because it's a really good Link 3. It gains counters, so it can get pretty big because of those counters. It becomes 25. And after the turn it's summoned, you can use those counters as a quick effect to revive any level 4 lower insect monster from your grave in defense that still has their effects intact. So you could even summon like Scout Buggy, and then Buggy gets effect. But I usually use it to link climb or just to push for game. But that does come up every now and then. And then for the last Link monster I play 2 Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. This is your main boss monster. This is like your kind of end goal. This card is so good, and it's so problematic for some specific decks to deal with. Basically, while this Link Summon card has 3,000 or less attack, it cannot be targeted by card effects. Or your opponent can't target it for card effects. And your opponent cannot destroy it by card effects. Which is really, really good. And that's honestly all it could have said. But it also has another effect where you could tribute an insect monster to activate one of the following effects to either special summon any Beetrooper from deck, or to give this card 2,000 attack, which does negate its protection, but it goes for game really well. Usually I go for the first effect, to special Beetrooper from deck, because you can summon Scout Buggy from deck, and then effect summon another Scout Buggy, and then go for Cicada King, or you can summon the Sting Lancer, and then get the counter trap, and then that way you can set up for your opponent's turn with a few negates. But just the fact that this is like, it has good protection and really good attack, some decks just can't deal with that. Like some decks really just can't deal with that. So it's a really solid card. That's it for the links though. For the Xyz, I just play one Cicada King because it's on field negate and gives himself 500 extra attack. And it could also summon an insect from hand too, which has come up a few times whenever its battle position is changed. So it's just, but it's mainly just because it's just field negation on your opponent's turn. One Trap Trick to Alamaris, mainly just because you could detach 2 to revive an insect from grave, which is mainly what I use it for. But it actually, this other effect where if an opponent's monster leaves the field because of a card of your card effect and is now in their graveyard or banished, detach 1 and take that monster. That actually comes up with like Gogipo's effect to pop a monster. So you can actually use that as well. So it's good. And it's a decent rank 4 that's insect. Because all the Beetrooper cards, mainly Armor Horn and I think Invincible Atlas, they basically make it so that you can't special summon except for insects. So if you have them on field and you want to make Xyz, these are basically your go-tos. But if you do, like, if you don't have them on field and you have other cards, some other generic rank 4s I just play like the Utopia package, just to push for game a bit easier. I also play one Gaga Cowboy, mainly because sometimes you can almost push for game with like Giant Ballpark, and this can kind of just like finish the job. And I just play one Tornado Dragon, just as like another form of disruption on your opponent's turn if they're playing a bunch of spells and traps. So that was just some generic cards I play. But that's it for the entire Beetrooper deck. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any suggestions you guys want to make, because I know there's a bunch of different builds with this. If you guys have been testing out a specific build, or if there's a few tech cards you think you would work really well in here, just let me know in the comments section. I'll be more than happy to try them out. I love this deck so much, and I want it to make it like really good. Like it's already pretty good, but like I want it to be like the best it can be. So if there's any suggestions you guys got, let me hear them. I'll be more than happy to try it. I'm gonna go ahead and do another deck profile later this week. I have more time this week, so just stay tuned. I'm gonna be back on this channel, be more active. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys have a good one.